from the Strategic Planning Committee, steered by the Prime Minister's office. So these are from high quarters. And I'm reading them to you because they are very evil. And there's no point us hiding things like this. They need to come out in the open. Let them deny it. As they probably will, but I don't think they will. They're just going to keep quiet because they're waiting. The reason is it's supposed to be leaked out through Canada, but it's actually a plan for the whole world, for all the nations. You'll see in a second. So let me read to you. Roadmap. Phase in secondary lockdown restrictions on a rolling basis, starting with major metropolitan areas first and expanding outwards, expected by November 2020, next month. Then rush the acquisition of or construction of isolation facilities across every province and territory, expected by December 2020. So they're supposed to make sure they build up those isolation centers. I told you something about the isolation centers. I told you it had nothing to do with COVID. I told you that those isolation centers, I reminded you of Nazi Germany. Nazi Germany had extermination centers. The so-called isolation centers became extermination centers. And I warned about these things in April, May, a few months ago. Now they want to make sure they complete them and have them in all the provinces. Okay? They're called isolation centers. But let's see what they're going to do with them. Daily new cases of COVID-19 will surge. A plan. This is the roadmap. So the daily new cases will surge. They have to increase the numbers. Some of them are already doing it. This is Canada. So daily new cases of COVID-19 will surge beyond capacity of testing, including increases in COVID-related deaths following the same growth curves expected by end of November 2020. Complete and total secondary lockdown, much stricter than the first and second rolling phase restrictions, expected by end of December 2020. So while you are thinking Christmas and looking forward to the new year, these are the evil plans they have. All right. That's from December 2020 to early January 2021. Reform and expansion of the unemployment program to be transitioned into the Universal Basic Income Program, expected by first quarter 2021. Projected COVID-19 mutation. Did you hear that? What are they saying? They want to change it to move from COVID-19 to a higher level of the disease. Watch. Projected COVID-19 mutation and or co-infection with secondary virus referred to as COVID-21, leading to a third wave with much higher mortality rate and higher rate of infection expected by February 2021. Daily new cases of COVID-21, 21 hospitalizations and COVID-19 and COVID-21. So COVID-19 and COVID-21 will be going together. Related deaths will exceed medical care facilities capacities. Expected first to second quarter 2021. Enhanced lockdown. See, so this will move to further restrictions. Into enhanced lockdown restrictions, referred to as third lockdown, will be implemented. Full travel restrictions will be imposed, including inter-province and intercity, expected second quarter 2021. Transitioning of individuals into the Universal Basic Income Program, expected mid-second quarter 2021. Okay? Projected supply chain breakdowns. What happened? Inventory shortages, large economic instability, All this planned by them. Expected second quarter 2021. Deployment of military personnel into major metropolitan areas, as well as all major roadways to establish travel checkpoints, restrict travel and movement, provide logistical support to the area, expected by third quarter 2021. Look at their plans for 2021. So they're going to move in the military. Now, the UK began to test this just about a month ago. What did they do? They moved soldiers into the streets to, now unarmed, okay, to come helping with testing. Okay? What's that? They're testing, they're gauging public reaction to soldiers in the streets. That's what they're gauging. So it's actually a full plan to militarize the streets and intimidate the people. Okay? Along with that provided road map, the Strategic Planning Committee was asked to design an effective way of transitioning Canadians to meet an unprecedented economic endeavor, one that would change the face of Canada and forever alter the lives of Canadians. This is interesting. Here is a report from a member of the committee. Listen to this. What we were told was that in order to offset what was essentially an economic collapse on an international scale, the federal government was going to offer Canadians a total debt relief. So everybody gets, if you were owing anybody, any organization, any bank, or your mortgage, it'll all be paid off. Why can't they pay it off? They've stolen enough already. Think about it. All the money, most of the money is in the hands of a few people who are planning this thing. They can afford to divide it around. You know what? They know you can't use it. That's why. Because they have a plan to get it back from you and to get much more from you. Just listen to this. So they promise you debt relief. Debt relief. Who set up the debt? They did in the first case. So now they give debt relief. And what happens next? Watch. This is how it works. The federal government will offer to eliminate all personal debts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, and so on, which all funding will be provided by the IMF. IMF. Isn't that interesting? Is IMF not supposed to be working in Europe? Okay. They're offering debt relief to Canada. Where does IMF get its money from? Ripping off Africa. Because there's no money in Europe. Europe has no natural resources. Where do they get the money from, which they are loaning to everybody? From Africa. They don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. Now, you would have thought the World Bank should have done this, but they can't do it. It's the IMF. All right. So, they will do this in exchange for acceptance of this total debt forgiveness that the individual will forfeit. The individual will forfeit ownership of any and all property and assets forever. You get the debt relief if you agree to forfeit all ownership of all property and all assets forever. Isn't that wonderful? You get debt relief. But you must agree that you will never own a property anymore. You never own assets anymore that are yours. So everything that you ever had will become the government's. Now you think that's where they're going to stop? No, the plan is not just for the individual. The plan is for nations to perfect their sovereignty. So it's about the one world government. So they're trying to do this one through individuals. Let's keep listening. The individual will also have to agree to partake in the COVID-19, C.2021 vaccination schedule, which will provide the individual with unrestricted travel and unrestricted living under full lockdown. Now, the country will be under full lockdown, but you, once you accept the vaccine, you can move freely everywhere and you can do whatever you like, because all your property now belongs to the government, and you now belong to the government because through that vaccine, you are government property. And you can be controlled by the government as well. Remember that. Don't forget it. So they own you, and they own everything you ever owned by your simple all right. So you're going to have a health pass with which you can move around, okay, through the use of a photo identification referred to as Canada's health pass. So they give you a health pass. Committee members asked in that committee, all right, I told you about the committee, the name of that committee, Strategic Planning Committee, all right? Now the committee members asked who would become the owner of the forfeited property and assets in that scenario.